The USS Blackstar drifted silently through the vast emptiness of space, its sleek hull gleaming faintly under distant stars, a symbol of human innovation and strength after decades of peace. For years, humanity had watched from afar as alien civilizations clashed in distant corners of the galaxy, their wars unseen and unheard by most on Earth. The age of conflict seemed to have passed them by, leaving humankind to expand cautiously, quietly colonizing new worlds and advancing technology in relative calm. But beneath that calm lay a growing unease. Whispers from the edges of explored space told of a powerful coalition of hostile alien factions. Bands of ruthless warlords and cunning strategists who had turned their eyes toward human colonies. These colonies, scattered and fragile, represented a prize worth fighting for, and the warning signals could no longer be ignored. When the call came, it was clear that the peaceful era had ended. The USS Blackstar was no ordinary warship. It was Earth's greatest weapon, a masterpiece of science and engineering designed to tip the scales in a war that threatened to consume everything humanity had built. On board, the crew moved with a sense of purpose mixed with tension. "Hey, Captain?" Alina Ramirez stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning star charts and incoming data with a sharp focus that betrayed no doubt, though inside she wrestled with the weight of command. The men and women around her were some of the finest in human space veterans, scientists, tacticians, but even they felt the growing shadow of fear. The enemy was vast, powerful, and unknown in many ways. No one could say what horrors awaited them beyond the stars they had yet to cross. The Blackstar was equipped with weapons unlike any other, capable of overwhelming firepower and unmatched speed, but no amount of technology could erase the human fear of the unknown. As the ship slipped deeper into hostile territory, the tension on board was thick, yet it was tempered by a growing resolve. Each member of the crew carried stories of their own, of families left behind, of dreams for a future secured by their mission, and of a fierce pride in representing humanity's determination to survive and prevail. The ship's AI, named Aegis, constantly fed updates and tactical analysis to the bridge. But it was the human instinct, the unyielding spirit of those aboard, that would shape the outcome. Outside the windows, the stars streaked past as the Blackstar raced to war at the front lines of a war no one truly wanted, but everyone knew was inevitable. There were moments when the silence of space seemed almost deafening, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Rumors circulated among the crew, tales of enemy fleets larger than any human mind could imagine, of weapons that could rend entire planets, of betrayals and alliances that shifted like sand. Yet in these whispered fears, a steely determination grew. The Blackstar was not just a ship, it was a message, a warning, and if necessary, a hammer to shatter any threat. Captain Ramirez held a briefing in the command hall, her voice steady but urgent as she addressed her officers. She spoke not only of tactics, but of the responsibility they bore to protect their people, to defend the ideals that had allowed humanity to rise from fragile beginnings to a force worthy of respect. Outside, sensors picked up distant signals, unconfirmed, but ominous, suggesting the enemy was already mobilizing. The ship's engineers worked tirelessly, running diagnostics and ensuring every system was ready for the trials ahead. Soldiers prepared their gear, medics reviewed emergency protocols, and scientists monitored strange readings from nearby star systems. Every moment was a reminder that this peace was fragile and could be shattered by the first shot fired. Yet, despite the unknowns, despite the danger, the crew of the USS Blackstar felt something deeper: hope. Hope born from the knowledge that humans had survived worse, that they had an indomitable will that could not be extinguished by fear or overwhelming odds. As the ship crossed into uncharted war zones, a sudden alert flashed across the bridge. Enemy scouts detected ahead small, fast vessels probing the Blackstar's defenses. The crew sprang into action, the hum of weapon systems coming alive, and the thrill of combat nerve-jangling yet familiar. For Captain Ramirez, this was the moment when doubt had to be pushed aside. Every decision could mean life or death, victory or annihilation. The crew moved as one, each member relying on training, on trust, on the bond forged through months of preparation. and as the first shots were fired, the peaceful era truly ended. The USS Blackstar had entered the war, and with it, the fate of humanity's farthest colonies hung in the balance. The silence of space was gone, replaced by the roar of battle and the unwavering human spirit that refused to back down, no matter the cost. The USS Blackstar moved silently through the cold void, its advanced stealth systems hiding it like a shadow in the night as it approached the contested system known as Helio 7, a place where control meant power and power meant survival. For weeks, the Blackstar's sensors had tracked an enemy fleet gathering beyond the stars, glare vast, threatening, and ready to strike. The tension on the bridge was electric, every officer alert to the faintest blip on the scanners. Suddenly, the enemy fleet appeared, a massive wall of hostile ships cutting through space with deadly intent. There was no time for hesitation. Captain Elena Ramirez gave the order to engage, and the Blackstar shifted from stealth to attack mode in a blur of precision and power. In a flash, the ship's advanced weapons systems came alive, unleashing a storm of energy bolts and missiles that tore through the enemy's front lines before they could react. The battle was brutal and fast, a dance of death where every second counted. The enemy, taken by surprise, could barely mount a defense as the Blackstar's cutting edge. Technology sliced through their vessels with surgical accuracy. Each shot found its mark, disabling engines, destroying weapons, and breaking the will of even the most seasoned adversaries. The crew worked in perfect harmony, their training and trust in one another shining brighter than any weapon. Officers coordinated damage control teams while gunners adjusted fire patterns, adapting instantly to shifting enemy formations. The Blackstar's unique stealth capabilities allowed it to vanish from sensors and reappear where the enemy least expected, striking with a ferocity that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Survivors from the destroyed enemy ships whispered rumors in dark corners of the galaxy about the human warship that moved like a ghost and struck like a lightning storm. News of the Blackstar's unstoppable wrath spread quickly among the hostile factions, shaking their confidence and forcing them to rethink their strategies. For the crew, the battle was more than just a fight for survival. It was a revelation. Each member discovered reserves of strength they had never known. Pilots pushed their ships to the limits, engineers solved critical problems under pressure, and medics faced the brutal cost of war with unshakable resolve. Bonds forged in the heat of combat grew strong, transforming strangers into a family, united by a single purpose to protect humanity at all costs. As the last enemy ship exploded in a brilliant flare, silence fell over the Blackstar. The crew exhaled collectively, knowing this was only the beginning. Captain Ramirez allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction, but quickly turned her attention to the mission ahead. Intelligence reports suggested this fleet was only the vanguard of a larger force, one that sought to crush human presence in this sector. Yet the Blackstar had made a statement. Humanity would not be an easy target. The crew prepared for what would surely be many more battles, each one a test of their courage and resolve. Outside the ship's hull, the stars glittered coldly, indifferent to the violence below, but inside, the crew's spirit burned fiercely. They had faced the enemy and shown that humanity's wrath was a force unlike any other. The Blackstar was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of hope, a promise that no matter the darkness ahead, humans would fight with every ounce of strength, every shred of ingenuity, and every beat of their unbreakable hearts. The war had grown fiercer with each passing day. The USS Blackstar had become the spearhead of humanity's fight for survival. Every mission sent the ship deeper into enemy space, where it struck at the heart of hostile supply lines and shattered strategic positions that once seemed untouchable. The enemy factions, once confident in their power and certain of victory, found themselves scrambling to respond to a threat unlike any they had faced before. Their old tactics swift. Raids, overwhelming numbers, and brute force failed again and again against the Blackstar's relentless offensive. The ship's ability to strike suddenly, disappear, and then reappear to deliver another devastating blow kept the enemy commanders off balance, forcing them to rethink everything they thought they knew about warfare. Back on Earth and in the human colonies, hope began to rise like a flame rekindled. Stories of the Blackstar's power spread quickly through communication channels, inspiring unity among scattered colonies that had once feared isolation. People who had only known conflict from the news now dared to believe in victory. The war was no longer a distant threat. It was a battle that humans were winning. Amidst this surge of confidence, Captain Alina Ramirez and her crew faced challenges that tested not only their strength, but their very understanding of the enemy they fought. Intelligence gathered from captured enemy vessels and decrypted communications revealed a darker truth: there was more driving the enemy's aggression than territorial conquest or desire for power. Deep in the enemy's command structure lay secrets connected to an ancient, devastating technology. Something so dangerous, it could change the fate of the entire galaxy if unleashed. This revelation weighed heavily on the Blackstar's officers. The mission was no longer just about defending human colonies. It was about stopping a force that could destroy everything, including innocent worlds caught in the crossfire. The crew worked tirelessly, analyzing every piece of data, preparing for the possibility that the next phase of the war could be unlike anything they had faced before. Engineers upgraded the Blackstar's defenses, scientists studied alien technology to find weaknesses, and strategists devised plans to confront this hidden threat head-on. But the enemy was adapting too. They began to employ new weapons and unpredictable tactics, attempting to outsmart the Blackstar's crew and regain the initiative. Battles became more dangerous, with close calls that tested the crew's nerves and skills. Yet, through every challenge, the Blackstar's crew grew stronger. They found courage in one another, and in the knowledge that they were protecting more than just their own lives. They were fighting for the future of humanity and for the hope of peace across the stars. In quieter moments, far from the chaos of battle, Captain Ramirez reflected on the burden she carried. The weight of leadership pressed on her shoulders, but she also knew that every decision, every order given, was made with a clear purpose. Her crew trusted her, and she trusted them. Together, they had become more than a ship and its passengers. They were a symbol of resistance and determination. As the Blackstar struck again and again, the enemy's confidence waned. Their alliances strained by losses they could not explain or prevent. The war's tide was turning, but the captain and crew understood that the final victory was still far away. The secret they had uncovered hinted at dangers that could erupt without warning, changing the course of the conflict in ways no one could predict. Yet in the face of uncertainty, the human spirit remained unbroken. The Blackstar's relentless assault continued, pushing forward through enemy lines with a fierce determination that echoed the heartbeats of everyone aboard. They were the shield and sword of humanity, ready to face the darkness with courage and hope, knowing that their actions today would shape the destiny of generations to come. And as the distant stars watched silently, the war raged on. But humanity's light burned brighter than ever before. The USS Blackstar pushed deeper into the core of enemy territory, where the familiar cold silence of space was now replaced by an ever-present tension, thick and suffocating, like a trap closing in on every side. Here, far from the safety of human colonies and allies, the dangers multiplied. The enemy, desperate and cornered, unleashed their deadliest weapons, experimental technologies never before seen, designed to crush the Blackstar's will and destroy the hope it symbolized. Massive energy pulses warped the space around them. Strange projectiles that danced unpredictably, and ambushes from hidden fleets seemed to appear from nowhere, testing every ounce of the crew's skill and resolve. The Blackstar's shield strained and flickered under the relentless assault, and the crew moved like a finely tuned machine, responding instantly to every threat. But it was not just technology that saved them. It was human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage that turned the tide even in the darkest moments. When one weapon proved devastating, the engineers quickly developed countermeasures. When enemy ships attacked from blind spots, the tactical officers rerouted sensors and recalibrated defenses in seconds. The pilots, with nerves of steel, performed daring maneuvers that blurred the line between skill and instinct, giving the Blackstar the edge it needed to survive. Deep inside the ship, the bond among the crew grew stronger. exhaustion, and fear threatened to wear them down, but every setback only fueled their determination. They had seen what was at stake: the survival of their people, the future of humanity itself. The sacrifices made by each crew member became a silent promise to never give up, no matter the cost. Captain Elena Ramirez led with a steady hand and fierce heart, inspiring her crew through the chaos. She knew the war had reached a critical point, and this final campaign could decide the fate of countless worlds. The enemy's desperation made them unpredictable and dangerous. But the Blackstar's wrath was becoming legendary, a symbol of unstoppable human spirit and relentless fight. News of their daring strikes and narrow escapes spread quickly through the colonies, igniting hope in the hearts of people who had long lived in fear. The Blackstar was more than a warship. It was a beacon, a rallying cry that humanity would not bow, no matter the darkness they faced. Yet the cost of this hope was high. The crew pushed their limits day after day, facing dangers that tested their minds, bodies, and souls. Losses were felt deeply. Friends and comrades who had stood together through countless battles were gone. Their absence, a silent wound that reminded everyone of the price of war. But even in grief, the crew found strength, honoring those who fell by fighting harder, moving faster, and never losing sight of their mission. They ventured into places where sensors failed and the enemy's grip was strongest, seeking out hidden bases and crippling supply networks that had once seemed untouchable. Every victory was hard-earned, every success a spark of light in the endless darkness. And as the Blackstar carved a path through enemy space, the captain and her crew discovered evidence of even darker threats lurking beyond the known conflict's secrets. Buried deep within enemy command, plans that could bring ruin not only to humanity, but to the entire galaxy if left unchecked. This knowledge steeled their resolve. There was no turning back. The battle had become personal, a fight, not just for survival, but for justice and the protection of all life. In the heart of this relentless storm, the Blackstar's crew became legends in their own right. Ordinary people pushed beyond limits, rising to become heroes defined not by power alone, but by their unbreakable will and unity. Their sacrifices and victories showed that humanity's greatest strength lay not just in technology or firepower, but in the spirit that refused to bow to despair. As the Blackstar faced overwhelming odds, it also faced a future full of uncertainty and danger. But no matter what challenges awaited, the crew knew one truth above all, that they were the shield that guarded humanity's hope, the sword that would cut through the shadows, and the flame that would light the way through the darkest night. After months of relentless battle, the final blow to the enemy fleet was dealt by the USS Blackstar, its weapons lighting up the dark void as enemy ships crumbled like fragile relics of a lost cause. The hostile forces shattered and scattered, the long, brutal war edged toward its end. The Blackstar, battle-worn but undefeated, set course back for Earth's orbit, where waiting millions held their breath in anxious anticipation. News of the ship's triumphant return spread faster than any transmission before, igniting celebrations on countless colonies and across Earth itself. Streets overflowed with joy, families reunited, and voices sang praises not just of a machine or technology, but of human courage, strength, and unity that had changed the course of history. The Blackstar was no longer just a warship. It was a symbol, proof that, with courage, determination, and innovation, humanity could face the darkest threats and emerge victorious. On board, the crew moved quietly through the ship, their faces reflecting a complex mix of exhaustion, relief, pride, and a touch of sorrow for those lost along the way. Captain Elena Ramirez stood on the bridge, gazing out at the familiar blue planet growing larger on the view screen. The journey had been long and fraught with danger, and every decision had weighed heavily on her shoulders. Yet beneath the weight of responsibility, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Her crew, once strangers thrown together by duty, had become a family bound by shared sacrifice and unbreakable resolve. The lessons they had learned, the strength they had found within themselves, and the victories they had achieved would echo through generations. As the Blackstar slipped into Earth's orbit, military vessels saluted. and officials prepared for the arrival of heroes who had saved humanity from near destruction. The captain and her officers participated in briefings and ceremonies, sharing stories and insights that would shape future defense strategies and deepen understanding of the galaxy's complex threats. Yet even amid the celebrations, a quiet awareness lingered among the crew. The universe remained vast and unpredictable. New challenges awaited, and humanity's place in the cosmos was still being defined. The Blackstar's mission had not ended with victory. It was only the beginning of a new era. Its legend, born from wrath and resilience, had opened eyes across the stars, signaling to allies and foes alike that humanity was no longer a passive observer, but a force to be reckoned with. Across the galaxy, the tales of the Blackstar inspired hope in the hearts of those oppressed and struck fear into those who sought to dominate. The ship's legacy was not one of destruction alone, but of awakening. A demonstration that technology, coupled with the human spirit, could alter fate itself. In quiet moments between official duties and celebrations, crew members reflected on their journey. They remembered the tension in the dark before battle, the flashing alarms, the camaraderie forged under fire, and the moments of doubt overcome by sheer willpower. Each face bore stories of courage and loss, of bonds made stronger through shared hardship. The war had tested them beyond limits, but it had also revealed humanity's greatest strength, its unyielding hope. Captain Ramirez knew that peace would not come easily. The scars of war ran deep, and rebuilding would require patience and resilience. But she also knew that humanity had changed forever. The Blackstar had shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could rise, fight, and prevail. It was a lesson written not just in battles and victories, but in every decision, every sacrifice, and every heartbeat aboard the ship. As the sun rose over Earth, casting golden light across the planet, the Blackstar and its crew prepared for the future. Their mission was far from over. New alliances would be forged, old wounds healed, and new threats faced. But one thing was certain: the universe would never again underestimate humanity's wrath, resolve, or heart. The USS Blackstar's journey had been one of wrath and redemption, destruction and hope, ending not with silence but with a promise that humanity's star had risen, and its light would shine bright for all to see, guiding the way to a new era of courage, unity, and endless possibility.